welcome back to the RPG Valkyrie Speedrun Marathon, raising money for Take This. I'm BGGO2, I'll be hosting for you tonight. And with us today we have ins0mnia running Hollow Knight 107% all bosses, no major glitches. No major glitches. Take it away.
Alright, so we'll get underway and then we can explain the run and the category as we have like 2.5 hours to do all of that. But yes, this is Hollow Knight, 107% all bosses. So the main things with 107% is it's the max completion category on the Lifeblood patch, which is 1.3 point whatever. But we're allowed to run it on the current patches of the game is the percent that's added and the content that's added after 1.3 is all like completely cordoned off from the rest of the game, and these current patches just run a lot better, so it's just a quality of life thing that's allowed, which is quite helpful. And Shelby, if you want to maybe say hi before I go off explaining things.
Yeah, hi, I'm Shelby. I'm comms for May tonight.
Yep.
And 107 is super cool.
Yep, so you'll be hearing a lot of her when I am stressed and I need to focus, but yeah, so we are playing as the Knight, and just to explain some stuff for people that haven't played Hollow Knight before, in the top left of the screen there is the big circle with some, looks like a liquid inside it. That is our soul meter. We'll spend soul on various things later as we get abilities, and our heal also takes 1/3 of our soul meter, and each hit we do with our nail fills about 1/9 of it. And then the little masks to the right of that are our health. So at the moment we have 5 health, and that will increase up to a max of 9 at the end of the run. And then below that, the little, looks like a shiny rock with a 0 next to it. That is our geo. That is the main currency used for the game, and we'll be spending absolute bucket loads of that throughout the run. At the moment we are just going to get our early abilities. We don't have tons of options of where to go early on in the run, so this will look a bit like a casual playthrough at the start, just done slightly better hopefully. But then once we get a few more things, we start, having access to some more creative routing opportunities, and we'll start doing some stuff that you definitely didn't do in your casual playthrough. Cool. So that's a trick called double spike, where we just use the spike in the ceiling to hit both of the aspids. It's quite consistent on this patch, but can still be a bit finicky, but it went well, which is nice.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
What does no major glitches mean in this game? I know what it means in a couple others, but I'm curious what it means here.
Yep, so this game is kind of held together by spaghetti and duct tape, so to do glitchless would honestly be a very hard challenge run, going through the whole game without breaking anything. So this is basically just is the closest Hollow Knight can get to glitchless without it being like extremely painful because you looked at it funny and invalidated your run. We allow some things. It's also kind of hard to define what's a glitch, what's a skip, what's an exploit. So yeah, there's some stuff we allow that probably looks a little questionable to the eye test, but if I'm doing it, I assure you it is a minor glitch. But the community has kind of gone, look, it doesn't really do much, it doesn't change how the run is done. It's just something of a quality of life change basically, or like it just is a minor speed up, and so we allow a few things like that.
So basically Secret of Mana with the glitchless in quotation marks.
Yeah, exactly. It's glitchless, but it's not really glitchless, so we call it no major glitches, so people don't go, actually, that is a glitch. So that was our first boss. We did a couple of intentional damage tanks to be able to maximize the amount of nail swings we get in, because we need 13. And so by getting hit in the start of our nail animation, just after we do damage, we're able to refresh the nail cooldown sooner than if we had not intentionally been hit and then been hit later during our nail swing animation. So it just saves about half a second each time, which is very small, but it adds up, all the little set time saves like that. And then we got a geo chest, which had 200 of the game's currency in it, which we'll be spending later, and the city crest, which we'll need to open a door later. And then this is the Vengeful Spirit ability, which is our first of 3 spells, each with an upgrade that we'll be getting over the course of the run. So you'll often heard this referred to as either VS or Fireball. Also, that was a gold. So that was a very good first split.
Nice.
And so Fireballs and all spells consume by default 1/3 of our soul meter, and VS does 15 damage, and our nail, for reference, does 5. So early on we'll be using it Can you get out of the way? We'll be using it a lot to try and kill things quicker. With precise positioning on certain enemies, you can also get it to double hit, doing obviously 30 damage instead of 15, which is also the equivalent of 6 nail hits. So bosses where we can do that, or enemies where we can do that, we'll be going for those as much as we can, just because it's a super effective means of doing damage. We can also do something called a nail cancel. So if we do a nail swing and then a spell, so normally a fireball, immediately after, we actually cancel the ending animation of the nail swing, and so that just lets us do damage slightly quicker, and it's just a little optimization you'll see used all over the run on enemies where one fireball won't kill, and so we need to be doing multiple swings, or like swings and spells. And just gathering
Do you want to
some
explain?
soul.
Do you want to explain what that silly little inventory drop was?
Did I do
That's
an
one thing
inventory
that can look-
drop?
You did. You did. That's something that could look kind of glitchy, for example, that is not.
Yeah, so when we open our inventory, the physics frame, so 1/50th of a second after walking off of a ledge, we open our inventory in midair, and what that does is it uncaps our fall speed, so it lets us fall really quick, and it also cancels our knockback. So if we get hit out of our inventory, we don't take any knockback, we just reset our fall speed and then off we go. So that can be useful for a couple of situations. That also happens if we open our inventory on the ground and get hit out of it. So there are a couple of cycle-based things and things... Oh my god, please turn around. Alright, so this was just to show off this enemy here. We've named him Eric. He's very nice. He helps us when we play back. Oh my gosh.
He's not
He helps us
very
when we
nice, but-
really play badly, apparently. Jeez. Yeah, so... Gosh. What I was
That's an
attempting to do there
unintended-
is a fireball skip. So what they do is fireball resets our full speed when we do it and gives us a little pushback. So by turning around and casting, I bumped my head, we can cover gaps larger than we're supposed to be able to. I can't, but that's a skill issue. But we're meant to be able to, but we're not meant to be able to, if that makes sense. And then coming up we have a Moss Knight. Ideally we'll be doing a double hit on it by abusing its AI. You can jump and be in a specific spot and it will always jump back like that, but it didn't double for some reason. But heal, this is a precariously low amount of health. So yeah, not ideal, but it's a 3-hour run, so thankfully little time losses like this aren't the end of the world. But yes, this is an all bosses category, so we will be killing some bosses that don't give percent, like dream bosses, or some bosses that you can optionally avoid by taking different decisions during quests, like Grey Prince Zote, which we just set up for, and Nightmare King Grim, which is one of the super bosses we'll be fighting very close to the end of the run.
Definitely some of the harder boss fights in 107.
Yeah. Grim is really finicky. It has quite an annoying quick kill that hopefully you'll see in the run. But I wouldn't hold my breath, because if it goes wrong, you kind of die, and I would like to not die in a marathon run.
You'll be fine.
Famous last words. So the last time I ran this category in a marathon, it was a crowd control run, which, if you know anything about crowd control, it was awful. So surely we die less than that run.
Absolutely.
I don't think that will be hard. If I do die more than in that run, then something's gone horribly, horribly wrong.
But hey, we got our first movement ability.
True, yes, the game became fun. So we got the Mothwing Cloak, which is our dash, and it speeds the game up massively and makes it way more fun, makes movement way cooler. And we are on our way to our wall jump ability, which is the other part of the holy duo of making movement not suck.
Yeah, wall jump and dash.
Another cool inventory drop there. That one actually saves time. Getting the leggy to bench here because something I didn't explain. When you sit at a bench, you are hard save, and so if you do a quit out, you will be returned to that bench with all of your progress and gear that you had collected. So we'll be using those a bit throughout the course of the run, especially early game before we have Dreamgate, which is a fast travel ability essentially. Quit outs become very important just because it allows us to save a lot of backtracking as long as there's a bench slightly more in the direction of where we're going. Now, hopefully you're going to see an explosion pogo.
Nice.
You're not meant to get hit there, but it worked.
If it worked!
Yeah. Look, it's better than failing E-Pogo.
Nobody wants to Manta Safari.
Cool.
So again, another trick that looks kind of funky to someone who's never seen it done before.
It is also really annoying if you do any of the movement even slightly wrong, because the mantises will just be in completely different spots to where they're supposed to be, but thankfully we didn't do that this time, so everything went quite smoothly. We'll now be going to rescue an NPC and get our second charm of the run, the Dash Master charm, which, believe it or not, allows us to master our dash, meaning that we can do it on a much shorter cooldown, which sounds amazing, and it is, but it's probably not as good as, you know, someone with a vague knowledge of the game might be led to believe, just because we get so many other charms that speed things up throughout the course of the run, so we don't actually end up having it on for all that much, but early game where we don't have very many choices, it's still very much worth equipping. And so I'm using the mouse to quit out here, and what that does is it allows us to select the file select screen option slightly faster than if we just waited for our like to do it via keyboard or controller, which is about a half-second time save or something, but we are greedy, and so we'll take all the half-second time saves we can get.
Dash Master is fun because it allows you to dash downward as well as side to side. You go nyum.
Yeah, so someone asks, what's down dash? You explain that it's a function of the up master charm, dash master charm. Whereas if someone asks, what's down dash? You say, oh, not much, what's up dash with you? Don't question that. There was an idea of a joke in there. The execution was a 0 out of 10, but...
Where's our modders to create Upmaster?
Oh god. Alright, so I
You
tried
can
to
see
get
how much faster the dash is with Dashmaster. It's very fun.
Oh god. I was trying to cling the wall here to refresh my dash, but I missed slightly, and so I ended up just watching helplessly as I fell into the acid, which, believe it or not, does hurt us. And that is where our city crest goes, which was the item we picked up from the first boss we killed. And that is the only use it has.
And you can't go backwards through that door.
Yep. But thankfully we kind of know how to play the game, and so we're not locked in there with here with the enemies. They're locked in here with us. And just taking a little bench there that doesn't really cost any time, but saves us soul on healing. And here we're going to be getting our first relic. So relics are can be traded in with an NPC for Geo, but they don't go away when we die. So they're a very easy way of carrying large amounts of Geo around safely without risking losing it if you die. Which is something we'll be taking advantage of to essentially just stock up on relics and thus money throughout the run, and then right before we need to go and buy a bunch of stuff, we just trade them all in with Len, and off we go. So as you saw, that Helleness seal there was worth 450, and that is of the 4 types of relics, it's the second most valuable. There are Wanderer's Journals worth 200, I did this movement wrong. There's the Helleness seal, as I just mentioned, worth 450. There's the King's Idol worth 800, and then there is the Arcane Egg worth 1200. And when most enemies are giving like 20 Geo maybe, or like a couple of bosses give around 500, you can see how a 1200 Geo pickup is really worth routing in. Because we'll be spending around 10,000 Geo just on like nail upgrades and charms, like one time basically, so we really need all the money we can get. And now we're just going to collect our second spell of the run, the Desolate Dive. We won't be stuck with Desolate Dive for very long as we get the upgrade for it almost instantly, but it serves a couple of uses both in combat and for the navigation of the map, which I'll explain when we get them. Now we're just going to fight the Soul Warrior, who has been semi-affectionately dubbed Norman. Now if you think Norman's so great, why isn't there a Norman 2? I have great news for you. I won't spoil what that news is, but I do have great news.
This is one of the areas for Hollow Knight speedruns, these longer categories, that are considered early game jail. This area is quite a pain. The enemies just teleport wherever they want, right in your face.
This room is called Hell Room because there are 3 of those teleporting guys, and you need to navigate a bunch of little platforms, and they can just teleport in your way and be big mean bullies, and so it's just kind of bad, but thankfully we don't have to deal with Sanctum for too much longer.
They were quite nice to you.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but they were very nice. And then we'll heal one here because we get a nail swing right at the start. We generally want to avoid having a full soul meter and then attacking a boss without nail it's basically means we're missing out on the collection of soul that we could have been getting otherwise. So you'll see me going for double hits on this boss, but then if I'm near full soul, I'll probably do a cast anyway, just because otherwise I'd be wasting soul anyway. And some damage is better than no damage.
We'll actually be coming back to this boss later for a harder version. So if you think he's kind of annoying and difficult now, well, you're in for a shock.
Yep, and it definitely doesn't mess my muscle memory up, going from one version of the boss to the other. So this boss can either have an aerial or grounded spawn in this phase 2. For Soul Master it doesn't really matter, but for his big brother it can really suck if you get an aerial spawn. So hopefully getting an aerial spawn here, he's gotten it all out of his system and has decided to become a more grounded person. Alright, and so we now got the Desolate Dive ability, which is basically a ground pound. There are certain breakable floors that like rumble when you walk over them, and this just allows us to get through those. So it's required to enter a few areas, and to leave this area is just a kind of test that you know what you're doing. We're not save quitting out of this area, is even though we didn't bench, it is still a hard save. Just a few extra rooms in this game are made hard saves just to make sure you understand an area's mechanic, or because it's an important area and they don't want you accidentally leaving. And so we do have to walk out.
There are certain breakable floors too. It's something called a fake dive. If you ground pound at the perfect spot, you'll actually just stay on the upper level and not go all the way down, which is what you saw May do just a little bit ago.
Yep, and we did that to rescue one of the grubs without having to go around twice. Sorry. Also, I should not have taken that elevator off. Let's just bonk you now. And so we need to rescue all the grubs in order to 107% the game. There's several charms in that we need to trade them in for. There are 46 in total, and so now we have saved, I think, one? Have we gotten any other grubs by now? What's that elevator?
No.
Should be down.
That was your first grub.
Cool. Alright. I really remember. So generally we want to get most of the grubs later, as we'll be going by most areas again, and we'll be going by with more equipment and just the ability to move faster and to kill things faster. So generally it's not worth going to most of the grubs when we're slow, when we can just come back when we're walking right past the same area later and we're faster. One of you has one hit left. There we go. Alright, and that is a simple key. So there are 4 simple keys that open 4 simple locks in the game. We only need to open one, so that's the only one we'll be getting, as it's just the most directly in our path. And we're doing a wiggle turn around there just to get the bell to appear faster, which is part of that aforementioned spaghetti code. So normally the toll takes a couple of seconds to disappear, and then the game thinks for a second, and then it spawns the bell, which also takes a couple of seconds, but we can just get the game to do all of that at once, which is pretty funny. Also, I forgot to do an ally control here. So because when the night turns around, it sends the finished event, and for some reason bells and tolls use the same finished event as the hero turning around does, and so it just spawns it quicker, which is really silly, and it's like the only thing that does it, but I'm gonna take advantage of it, and it's deemed minor because Imagine buying a toll, accidentally turning around, and then invalidating your run.
One of many silly little things.
Bonus points if you're a controller player and your like analog stick does a snapback and then you lose run because you technically did a glitch. And that was the second of our grubs, as we won't be going by that area again really. And we have dash and dash master, so we're not getting much faster. And then we use the desolate dive ability there to get into this area called Crystal Peak. And now we'll be going through and getting one more ability and collecting a couple of things on our way.
This area has incredibly annoying enemies. Really annoying enemies. We'll meet my frenemy soon. And in a previous conversation with May, she said if she gets hit by him, something has gone horribly wrong. So, we pray that she doesn't get hit by Sean. Oh, I'll tell you more. Hang on. Just watch this epic movement through this room. It's May's a gamer.
I don't know how I didn't get hit. And then I got hit by this guy. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, this super cool intentional damage tank here, the one she got hit by, his name is Shane. He's fine.
No.
That one.
Alright, I need
That
to wait
one
down
right
here.
there.
There we go.
That's Sean. He
His
guards
spiteful
that
aura
shopkeeper's key.
threw me off.
Yeah, if you skill issue, when you go by him, he hits you. If you go fast enough, you don't get hit by Sean. I get hit by Sean. So, he is not my friend.
Another big
have to make that
inventory
note.
drop there that saves like 2 whole seconds, which is basically a year in speedrunner time.
Plus, it looks cool.
Exactly.
This also looks cool.
On the plat woo. Shout out to Locus for every time you did underplat, you'd go underplat woo. And so now everyone just woos whenever you do underplat. I think with Dashmaster it doesn't even save time, but sometimes, you know, you need to do what you know is right, even if it's slower.
Swag. Swag points.
Oh god.
So we just got what people refer to as C-Dash, Super Dash, Crystal Dash. You go fast.
That's a little sketch, but it's fine. And this is a dark room, so you meant to have the Lumifly lantern to get through here, but we have rote learning and memorization, which is just as good. And so I said we didn't have the unupgraded dive spell for long. This room is where we're getting the upgraded dive spell. It is a terrifying room, I hate it, but if we don't die, then we'll have D-Dark, which is an amazing spell. It does a ton of damage, it has iframes on the cast, it's just amazing. So as we mentioned, the unupgraded nail does 5 damage, the full D-Dark does 88 with Shaman Stone, which is a charm we'll be getting later, spoilers. And then that was Buggy Skip, so we get the Crystal Hunter to shoot us out of the pickup animation, and then we're able to leave and gain control way sooner, which just saves like, is it like 7 or 8 seconds, I think? we need to make sure we leave the room after the save icon appears, otherwise you don't get the ability, but the crystal's still gone and you lose. So it's a bit dicey, but we call it a minor glitch, because if you were to accidentally get hit out of that pickup animation because you moved through the room not optimally, and then you would just invalidate your run through no fault of your own, basically. Ooh.
Now we're picking up a key item here, required for progression in this game.
Yep. So it's called the Dream Nail. You'll often see it abbreviated as DN. You now know, so you don't have to ask what's DN and get collectively clowned on by everyone. But it is used for a bunch of things, included entering dreams or fighting a category of boss referred to as Dream Warriors or Dream Bosses. So just say it was obviously required, and we need to, obviously, as mentioned, kill the Dream Warriors and bosses to get all bosses, which are scattered all over the place. So getting Dream Nail early is just really good for having routing that makes sense, and you're avoiding doubling up areas you travel to as much as possible. And then fireballing to open that wall for later. Part of using benches for routing, as we mentioned, is that there are a few sections where we can't bench for long periods of time. This is one of them. So if you remember, our last bench is just outside Soul Sanctum, where we got the base dive ability. So we've walked through a ton of areas, walked directly past several benches, but we can't take any of them because we need our hard save to be back where the Soul Sanctum is, because we need to go there soon, and we don't want to walk back because that loses minutes. And we just bought the Shaman Stone and the first Charm Notch. Shaman Stone is one of the best charms in the game. It upgrades all of your spells, so it makes them bigger and them do more damage. So we'll have that equipped for a large chunk of the run. And then we got a Charm Notch, which just gives us one more point worth of charms that we can have equipped at any one time, because all of the charms will have a unique value ranging from 1 to 4 notches. We ideally don't get hit there, that was not intentional. And we start off with 3 notches available, and this is a 4th, and then we got a 5th from the Shroom Logers we fought earlier. And that's really good because there are a lot of good 2 and 3 notch charms, and being able to have 2 of them equipped at once without being overcharmed is really fast and comfy and just good in every single way.
More of those wiggles.
Yep.
Opening another fast travel.
Oh yeah, probably worth mentioning. Do you want to explain stags and all that goodness?
Yeah. So all throughout the entire map, there are different areas that you can pay for one of those toll bells that unlocks a stag. They're usually with a bench, but like May said, we got to be careful where we bench because we use the quit out feature like what we're doing right now. The interesting thing about stags is they do not heal you. So you saw that she rode the stag on 1 HP and left 1 HP, which is interesting.
I may have messed up and left that elevator in the wrong position.
Hey, do you remember that whole Norman 2 conversation?
Yeah. So this is Norman's big brother. Actually, I guess it would be Norman's little brother, right? Because you wouldn't preemptively name your kid Norman 2 in anticipation of in future naming a kid Norman. So I guess this is Norman's younger brother, Norman 2. He's way stronger and spawns those little follies you saw, but we're also way stronger, so he goes down just as quick. And this gives us the upgraded Vengeful Spirit, which is called the Shade Soul. With Shaman, which we have equipped now, it does 40 damage per hit, and it can double and triple hit enemies. You're going to see that the hitbox is also way larger as a mix, due to a mix of it being the upgraded ability and the Shaman Stone. So that's going to make hitting things tons easier.
Now we're making our way back to Soul Master's older brother.
Actually, I
this
guess the
area
Normans could be
initially-
twins, right? And then you're just like, alright, Norman 2.
The other ones are just... I guess they could all be twins.
They can all have a
Was it-
number.
Quadruplets, maybe?
A number. I think there's 6.
There's 6? I thought there were 4.
I think that's counting the Godhome, like Pantheon ones as well.
I
Alright.
see.
But yes, this is Soul Tyrant. He's Soul Master's big brother. He is scary. So Norman 2 was not that scary. Soul Tyrant is much harder than his little brother. And is also really random. So that makes it really unfun for speedrunners. And unfortunately, I am a speedrunner, so he's not very fun for me. And that there, you saw, is a double hit. So again, we're trying to get as many of those as we can, as it's just the most effective use of Soul. Because Soul is pretty much the limiting factor of how much damage we can do at any one time. So by increasing the damage per soul cost, we're able to be much faster. Nice. So when you do a shades or a spell out of a dash, it can, if you do it like instantly, it eats your turnaround, which is really dumb and is why that one whiffed. Oh god, please don't die. What did I just say? Alright, so that's dying to Soul Tyrant. We ideally don't do that at runs. As you saw, we
He's a
got an
bully.
aerial spawn on the first attack, which is just bad. Sorry, on the first run through of second cycle, which is just bad. And then we got, yeah, quite unfortunate with dashing in the wrong direction because I am bad. And then a little bit of fireballing in the wrong direction because the game is bad. But hopefully we can be a little bit better this time because it would be embarrassing to die to this boss twice. He's hard, but he's not that hard.
He's just fast and annoying and obnoxious.
Exactly.
And even though we've upgraded stuff, it's still not necessarily a whole lot of damage. Because this
We
is still very
also-
early in the game.
Haven't upgraded our health, so the same amount of hits still kills us. And there are a couple of situations where, like, especially if you get an aerial phase 2 spawn, there's a couple of situations where you can't really avoid getting hit if you want to do any semblance of damage. And so it becomes this kind of trade-off of how much health do I think I can risk on damage tanking without dying. That was a bit better. We have a clean phase 2, this should be pretty fine.
We love this
So just do that.
dark strat.
Yeah. So that's a grounded spawn. It's so much easier. You don't get hit because D-Dark has iframes, so you're just chilling. So yeah, that's the duality of Soul Tyrant. Either it gives you the good pattern and you thrive, or it gives you the bad pattern and you loathe the game and everyone who ever helped create it.
And you cry.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a lot of that when running this game. Not really, it's a very fun speed game. Don't let my complaining dissuade you. It was my first proper speed game, and I've now been running it for like 5 years.
Yeah, 4,000 hours later.
It's a couple. Oh my god, please. The one time I need to do an inventory drop, and this is what I get. Please? Thank you. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Alright, so that elevator squeeze is something added unintentionally in 1.5 to stop players from doing a glitch called elevator storage. But they did it by making the elevators smaller, so there are certain elevator shafts and certain spots where you can just squeeze through, which is a bit goofy, and that one is sub-alignment dependent, so we cling onto a certain spot of the wall that puts us in a good alignment to get through. If we were to cling on the wall slightly lower, we wouldn't get it, and we would hit the spikes and be sad. Because again, this game is extremely well made and has no flaws whatsoever. Alright, so that whomp there is RNG. You can get that C-dash through either uninterrupted or interrupted by one of those whomps. Normally I only get interrupted when I'm on a good pace, so it's nice to know that the whomps are willing to annoy every runner, not just people on good pace. We then got a Mars Shard and quit out, and we'll now be fighting the hardest boss in the run, Fluke Mom. Apparently a bunch of good players, or at least one good player, has died to it. I would never. In all seriousness though, the run up to Fluke Mom is terrifying. And inventory knockback cancel there to be able to get a C-dash off. That's a neat little bit of tech.
112 runner and he was very confused why you didn't open the shortcut, but it's not needed.
Yeah, so the God Home content that was added after this patch lives in that previous room and off to a little side behind a breakable wall. So by just not going there, you don't invalidate your run or get any of the extra percent that we collectively
or have to deal with any of it.
Yeah, which is great because it's a boss rush and boss rushes are cringe and I hate them. Subjective, but I'm right.
Smile and nod.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have chose a God Home ending runner if I'm gonna slander bosses all run.
I'll slander them all run for you.
Yeah.
Of all people to slander them.
We can hit the spicy quick kill here.
We love spicy quick kills. I've never seen that. That's so cool. Holy crap.
Yeah. So, to list everyone who does that version of the quick kill, me. That's it. It saves like 1 second, but is like 20 times harder. And in my infinite wisdom, that's a great trade-off.
I would say so.
Yeah, ignore that I'm losing like 2 minutes in colos. That 1 second is what really makes the difference. Right,
That was the hardest trick in the whole game, was that tunnel right there. Cannot
Going
change
to
my
be
mind.
doing a bunch of skips to get the Isma's tier ability. You're meant to be going all the way around and stuff. we're not about that. So we can take a much more direct route by being good at the game. Because this game's made by Team Cherry, you can't actually buffer inputs out of the end of a C dash, and so getting those is actually quite difficult. You also can't buffer a C dash out of like a dash into a wall or anything, and so they're very precise and awful, but thankfully those ones aren't too bad, so we didn't run into any dramas. And then just getting hit by the Wurmp there intentionally out of the Isma's pickup to leave the room slightly faster. And now we can acid swim. And now we go to get one more ability, which is basically the last of the big movement abilities.
Going for double jump now.
Yep.
Monarch wings. This is like the most plain area in the entire game.
Yep. So this is the ancient basin. In the next room, there's a really cool strat to avoid getting hit. Sorry, not the next room, the room after. There's a really cool strat to avoid getting hit by all of the Morlurks, but it's very hard, and so if you're me, it's effectively RNG. So we'll try and get hit by as few as possible. That's not even a Morlurk, so that's a great start. I might just do this. So we'll top up on Soul later.
If I just may interject.
Yep.
I'll let you guys know that I will be passing off hosting to Amart, and it was a pleasure to get a front row seat to watch you. It's been phenomenal, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of it.
Thank you, and thank you for your hosting. Alright, so we got hit by all of them, so I'm just gonna heal on this guy because Broken Vessel can just decide to not get doubled, and then the fight becomes quite scary if you're on 1 health. Which, Broken Vessel obviously being this guy. Now he looks a bit like us. I'm sure there's lore reasons behind it, but I'm not convinced this game actually has lore, so I won't be attempting to explain those. Alright, so you got hit 1 out of an ideal 4 times there, which isn't great. You should jump to the middle now. That's not the middle. What are you doing? Alright, well now you've staggered out of it as well. Jump to the middle? Okay. What are you doing today, buddy? There we go. I don't know what he was doing there. So that fight's meant to have 2 seconds of RNG to it, basically, but it just, yeah, decided to completely ignore the spells I did at the start, and then not go into the damage threshold headbang attack. Yeah, but the damage threshold should be 4 hits of Shade Soul, and I did 4, and it was just ignored. Anyway, we go straight into its big brother now, which is, shockingly, a bit harder. Those guys will also be spawned the entire time, but thankfully we can kinda do a stagger lot. I say kind of because we still need to get a couple of hits after each one, and it does get a chance to do an attack during that time, but we can mostly deal with it. It still trivializes the fight massively compared to trying to do it normally.
The great thing about this boss fight is ideally you want to get hit enough to not die,
Yeah.
but then one of the little orange balloons, you can actually death warp out of this fight and it saves some time.
Unfortunately, my final cast killed the little orange balloon that I would have used to take a death, but so we didn't get to see that, but just imagine that fade out animation played slightly sooner. And here's our double jump. And I'll be doing another quit out now as this ability isn't a hard save. Otherwise, it would be like 20 seconds extra of just walking, which thankfully Team
Walking is
Cherry didn't
boring.
decide that we should be doing.
Walking is boring. Also, hello. I
Hello.
am your replacement host, Amart. Just wanted to say hello.
Yeah, if you have any donations or message or anything, now's probably a good time too.
Didn't have any new donations, but yeah, just wanted to quickly introduce myself. I've been around a couple of other runs, and yeah, thank you for having me again tonight. And really looking forward to this run. This is you Hollow Knight runners and runners of like similar games like amaze me with these skills. It's just really cool. So
There are a lot of very small things to memorize in this game.
oh, for sure, I can only imagine.
Just those wiggles alone, trying to remember to do that to every bell that you buy.
But then not every bell, because some you need to fire bell, and then it depends on health and soul, and it's just great. I
It's
should
so
not be
great.
charming,
It's a
though.
great game. So, May.
Yep.
I would hope you wouldn't commit heinous murder on a marathon speedrun.
If you mean the maggots, no, because I don't trust myself to route soul correctly or do the dream nail where you like hit them and enter the fight. If you
I
mean,
love that. We're just not gonna murder. Yeah. Yep. We're not murdering.
if you mean
Not for any
Nailsmith,
other reason.
he has it coming.
Oh no, I don't. I love the nailsmith. No, I'm talking about the maggots.
Okay, yeah.
You'll see them later. They're harmless. And people like to kill them. And it's quite sad.
Alright, so now we're going to be doing the failed champion boss fight, which is probably the hardest dream boss, or at least until very recently it was the most volatile, because you don't get soul when you hit him outside of his unique stagger, and it's just awful, and he does double damage with everything, and we're doing the fight with flukes, and so flukes are not that good on paper, but due to a specific oversight, they can double or triple hit, and then they become amazing. But in order to hit the very important damage cutoff for failed champ, we need to do a certain amount of double multi-hits. So if we don't get those, we just cry ourselves to sleep. Alright, that's the bad pattern. Why did I not turn around there? Yeah, okay. We dealt with that okay, but this is a very close stagger, so we're going to be in one health. Cool. Do our best not to get rocked. Cool.
Actually, incredible fight. I love those inventory cancels. I've never seen those.
Thank you. Yeah, they are stolen from CC, literally this morning, so thank you CC for saving what would have otherwise been an intentional death to reroll failed champ RNG.
I'm gonna take note of that. That was really cool. Yeah, if he jumps forward, you win, and if he jumps backwards, you cry, is what the general consensus is.
I was hoping you would do the jump in place and then jump to the left and then mace swing, where the mace swing just doesn't have a hitbox, because it's always funny showing that off.
Spaghetti game. Mace wait.
Right, so we're now talking to the seer. So she uses all of that essence we've been collecting from dream bosses and warriors as a currency. And what we are talking to her now to get is Dream Wielder and Dream Gate. Dream Gate basically allows us to place a warp point anywhere on the map, and then we can use one essence to warp back to that warp point whenever we want. So it's really useful for routing, as it lets us cut down on doubling back, and when we do need to go back to an area for one reason or another, it means that we can just place a Dream Gate and then come back there instantly. That's why we do all of those underpowered dream bosses near the start, just so we can have all of that. Also, I have the wrong charms on, but thankfully we have a bench right here.
The other cool thing about Dreamgate is you can actually have the two teleport points, because you have your Dreamgate and then you can also quit back to whatever bench you sat at. So fun for routing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't do. I listen to what other people say to do that is supposedly faster.
Yeah, I can route very basic categories, but stuff like this where there's so many moving parts, I kind of just smile and nod. I can time rooms, but yeah, if you ask me to time route a 2-hour run, I'm just gonna say talk to someone else and do what they do.
Why we love those dedicated Hollow Knight people that just love to lab out strats and timing and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I've been running this game since basically forever, but there are so many people who have, like, not even really run the game, but have just contributed so much, be it through modding or routing or finding skips and that. And yeah, the Hollow Knight definitely has one of the biggest and just, like, nicest communities of any game that I've run, or even, like, been vaguely aware of. And that is the Cyclone Slash, which has some uses in combat and in movement, as it temporarily uncaps our full speed similar to an inventory drop, but we're able to move side to side while using it, so it can offer some advantages that inventory drops don't. Also, I did not mean to knock you into the slow fly zone. Alright. So just getting hit by that flyer there out of the essence pickup, just to do that slightly faster and be able to leave sooner. And then doing a skip using the fly up to the stag nest. You're meant to have all of the all of the fast travel points unlocked before you can get up here, but we're not about that. So we just pogo a fly and grab that Vested Fragment sooner, as stags aren't percent, and so we won't be unlocking anywhere near all of the stags. So we don't want to have to spend like a whole bunch of money, so we just do that skip. And now doing the hardest dark room in the run by far.
This room is quite annoying even in the light. There's a lot of enemies, spikes, walls.
Nice.
And yet, she handles it perfectly. Gamer.
Yep, so that's another shout-outs to people smarter than me for figuring out the safe strats for that room, because I used to suffer. I used to do it so slowly, waste so much soul. It was just really bad, because we need as much soul as we can get for an upcoming thing. Spoiler alert, which you'll probably be able to pick what it is if you're familiar with this game. And there you saw two uses of Cyclone Slash, to break walls and to fall slightly faster. And there's another one that was maybe the best wiggle I've done in my life. So normally things don't get multi-hit when you hit them with Cyclone like that, but if you walk the Cyclone hitbox out of what you're hitting and then back into it, it will multi-hit. So it's a you have to be wiggling right on the very edge of it quite quickly to get it to do that. But we did it, so winning. And that's why we needed our soul. Because otherwise we'd be dream nailing the boulders or waiting for them to do extra child spits, and it just loses a ton of time. I actually want a
These
little
longer
more health.
rooms, these longer rooms, you can really see just how fast C-dash is. Much better than just regular dashing for longer rooms.
I think I'm fine
the
on
first
Geo
pregame?
already. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I shouldn't even need to kill this guy, but I will just because I would like to be extra fine instead of by 2. So this is a super isolated charm and is such a good idea, example of why we really like those fast travel points and the save quits, because walking back from here would just suck. It's so far from anywhere. It's like the only thing in the area basically. And a cool little bit of time save here. When we spawn in after a quit out, we're locked on the bench for a while, but we can do a little bit of charm charm menuing. So we take our charms off on this quit out, but then we don't put them on until the next one, so we can do all of the charm menuing during the lockout period. So it saves like half a second, but it's just really cool. I like it.
It looks fast.
Exactly.
If it looks fast, it's cool.
And yeah,
Putting out
so
of
like
dialogue.
a quit out there is faster than walking back out of the tent and then coming back to the bench here. So that should give you an idea of like just how good quit outs can be, because especially because Hollow Knight uses a load remove time, so a lot of the menuing takes like 0 time whatsoever, because even going between menu options pauses the timer for some reason. Well, for some reason, our load remove timer is extremely generous. Like it pauses for like most of each room transition and stuff as well. So it means that generally warping in that saves way more time than it would look just based on night test. And now we get to do a little bit of gambling. So we have the first of 8 Grimkin coming up. And we want it to do an orb attack. It can do an orbs or a dash. Don't want it to dash, it can dash a max of 3 times in a row. I don't want you inside the wall either, actually. This sucks. This is awful.
It's being very
Please.
rude.
There we go.
We love RNG time loss. Truly.
So there are 3 damage tanks left in this split, and we have 2 boss fights left. So we really don't want to get hit during these boss fights.
This entire trip to Crystal Peak, round 2 is very scary. There's a lot of very scary movement sections and areas you can take multiple hits all at once.
It's got some extra nail swings there to heal during the gate animation, which doesn't lose like any time. Just because otherwise it's terrifying, because this guy does double damage, so you can see how getting hit by him at all would completely throw off my ability to do the 3 damage tanks left in the split. but that is CG and CG2. They are two very large sources of geo, and yeah, we're very happy to have got through those hitless. Now I have one of the cooler strats in the run coming up in about 2 runes time that will hopefully show off the inventory cancelling knockback and show why it's really nice. No! Please spawn me back. Okay. So, ideally we get through there with 1 fewer damage tanks. Why I said no and sounded really sad is because there's an update hazard respawn trigger there. So if we had hit that and then tried to dunk on the spikes like that, it would put us back near the grub we saved instead of at the start of the room, and then you have to navigate your way out past all the enemies and hazards, and it can just easily get you killed, because if you get hit by an enemy into spikes, not only are you not immune to the spikes, so you take 2 damage, but then it can cancel your iframes from getting hit by the first enemy and the spikes, and so then you can get hit unavoidably when you respawn, so it can turn into like 3 or 4 damage just off of 1 hit. So that room can be super scary as soon as it goes slightly wrong. But thankfully it didn't.
Rescuing some more grubs.
Yep.
All 46 of them.
And surely we won't run into any issues in this room.
Of course not.
Cool, we actually didn't. So the things that shoot the lasers, the crystals in that room, don't actually have a hitbox, just the lasers do. So we're able to basically go through and pogo one while being basically inside of it with 0 drawback, which is pretty cool, and it lets you hit quite a fast cycle. And overcharming there to get Dreamwielder, Shaman, and Grimchild. Do you want to explain the overcharm state and maybe what Dreamwielder does as well?
Sure. So overcharming, you have to manually force an extra charm onto the notches. The game tries to tell you no, but you can do it. You end up taking double damage. So giving yourself that extra charm could be worth it, but you take double damage, so you gotta be really careful. And so then overcharming to have Wielder on here. Dreamwielder is super, super powerful, especially that it's a free charm, just with Essence, and it's only 1 notch. It allows you to collect soul off enemies really, really fast, and you can actually get a higher Essence drop rate. For 1 charm notch, it's insanely powerful. So having that for some of these sections that are kind of more enemy heavy, boss fight heavy, to have the extra soul. But again, it's risk versus reward, because if you take too many hits, you're overcharmed, double damage, you don't have much health. You can see just how fast the Dream Nail goes off.
Yeah, especially before we get any health upgrades. When they're taking double damage, that means we die in 3 hits, and that is not many. So things can very easily go wrong if you're not careful, so you just need to be very confident in the gameplay for areas where you are overcharmed, and be quite confident in like your knowledge of backup strats for if you do get hit in places, how to effectively recover that health.
This is a really cool movement section. You'll see some super fun little pogos here. going to get another nail art. Ooh, that was close. We love hitboxes. Get right up in those thorns without actually getting hit.
Barely. I think I must have been like a couple of units away from death. And then getting our second nail art, the Great Slash. So there's kind of Cyclone Slash, and then there's Great Slash and Dash Slash. Cyclone is like a multi-hit, and then Great and Dash Slash are single hit, and they do about 2.5 times your nail damage. Cyclone's just got a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of unique in that regard, but the other two are basically just you charge it up, and then you get an attack that does like double damage. It's not that useful because time that you're charging them, you could otherwise just be hitting something. But there are bosses that have invulnerable periods and lots of downtime, or things like Colo where that's actually really useful, and you'll see them used a lot there.
You'll definitely start to see Cyclone used more for movement in these later areas, which is really neat. Good Grim.
Yeah. That one I try and go into with at least 2 casts, so even if he's not behaving, I can just give him another one and... Wait. Helps if we don't miss Grub Jars.
There are a lot of very small details to remember through this kind of portion of the run. A lot of dream gates, a lot of benches, charm changing.
Yep, and forgetting one dream gate, or forgetting some geo, or forgetting to buy an item can just spell complete and utter disaster, so hopefully we don't get so stressed that we're forgetting things. That was apparently a boss.
Very tough one indeed. The great thing for these rooms, though, is May did pick up the acid swim ability, Isma's tier, so even if we accidentally fall, we don't get hit. Especially because we're overcharmed, so falling in acid would be bad.
Yep, and we write a put out there on the vessel fragment, which is useful A because of all of the normal benefits of quit outs, but B because the pickup animation for soul vessels and marsh shards is really long, but oh, we buy a soul vessel, thank you. The pickup animation's really long, but it actually gives you the item really, really early into the animation, so you can just do a quit out and save a bunch of time to not having to watch that animation play out. We're now going to be upgrading our Grimchild, because we killed the first 3 Grimkin, and so now all the Grimkin we face, it spawns 3 new ones in different locations, and they're also stronger and have new attacks. So we just did that. We're going to go get our first of the tier 2 Grimkin, and then we're going to go back to that Dream Gate we set because we needed to get the Lumifly Lantern, which was the item we just bought from Sly, which is what makes the dark rooms light. We would just fight No Eyes in the dark if we could, but we can't interact with Tolls or like talk to Dream Warriors or anything in dark rooms. Just because the game doesn't want you to just because the game doesn't want you to try it. So normally we would Dreamgate this guy, but my Grimkin shot him. That is unfortunate. It doesn't lose too much, but that's the downside to having upgraded Grimchild. It can just decide to shoot the thing that you're trying to hit or dream nail for soul.
also the downside of being overcharmed right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. When things go bad, they go absolutely awful.
Very quickly. Luckily, we were at a bench right there, though.
Yeah, it's not the most costly death, thankfully. But annoying because, yeah, Grimchild can just shoot the thing you need for soul and then it's kind of just over. And taking one detour before we go and fight No Eyes to grab the Howling Wraiths, which is our third spell. Wraiths kinda sucks, but its upgraded form is really good. Before Flukes were as amazing as they were and we found out you could get them to multi-hit, Abyss Shriek was kind of the main spell because it does 120 damage and can be spammed quite quickly, and it worked really well on aerial enemies. But now we kind of just fluke most things, so we don't rush it the same way that we once did.
This is a fun little arena with Grim. Sometimes he's helpful.
Yeah, sometimes, and then sometimes he just shoots everything you needed to hit the soul and you curse it.
You cry.
Yeah.
Luckily, when you pick up a spell, it gives you full soul.
Yep, so that's why we do this and then No Eyes, because No Eyes is an awful, awful, terrible, bad. I don't have enough bad words and synonyms for bad to describe No Eyes accurately. So No Eyes has a 35% chance to instantly teleport on hit. So when you need Shade Soul double hits to kill her, that means there's a 35% chance that the double that you've gone out of your way to try and set up just won't. So the first one there, and then she can teleport right before you're about to. So now I have to go and get 3 nail swings on her, which is just really slow.
And of course,
There we
Grim can hit her.
Yeah, because we
Causing
didn't
her to
have enough
teleport.
things.
It's a really cool trick.
Yes, that's just a little early control by hitting the spikes as we dream nail the boss. You gain control sooner, and then we're able to just leave while the rest of the essence pickup's playing. I did not fully place the dream gate. There we go.
There's a lot of really cool movement tech in Hollow Knight speedruns, that Dream Nail drop being one of them. Just really fascinating.
Yes, that's another physics frame perfect trick, so you have a 50th of a second window to do it, but that's not too bad because it's 50th of a second relative to an input you've done rather than to a visual cue. So they're generally the easier frame perfect tricks in the game. Alright, now we have a boss. We got unlucky with Soul Totem RNG. And there goes the boss.
We love that Cyclone hitting the Soul Totem through the breakable wall.
Right, so health is a bit sketchier because enemies can just be really mean and stand in doorways that you kind of have to do blind dashes through. So hopefully we don't die. We do get a free health refill if we need it, but needing it, it's not that free. You lose like, 10 seconds or something, so I don't want to have to do that. Oh god, I thought I had soul. Why'd I shade soul in the wrong direction? This is bad. There we go. So that kind of shows again how quickly things can just go very, very wrong if you are overcharmed. So we still need to navigate to the bench without getting hit. Also, you would normally C-dash out of this area, and the fact that guy was alive would probably have gotten me killed. Because cancelling a C-dash on reaction with as long an animation as it has is quite ambitious. Yeah, so there can be enemies exactly like that there.
Which is why we healed.
Yep.
Healing is nice.
Yep. Healing costs 1.5 seconds and 3 soul. Walking back here costs like a minute. Got the Photoshop dash under the water. Let's go.
If you saw what popped up in that upper left-hand corner, that was an essence drop. So whenever an enemy dies, there's a chance for it to drop essence. The chance is higher with Dreamwielder on, but that enemy did drop free essence.
Yep, and there's the second of our tier 2 Grimkin.
For anybody watching though, if you haven't played this game, you should play this game.
Yeah, Hollow Knight is obviously like my favorite speed game, but it's also one of my favorite casual single player games of all time. If you are a Metroidvania enjoyer and you by some miracle haven't played it, or even if you don't really love Metroidvanias, Hollow Knight is just incredible and is such a beginner-friendly introduction to the series. I can't praise it highly enough. And this is Hornet 2. You're noticing a recurring theme of enemies having stronger, especially early game enemies, having stronger variants, and this is probably the scariest of them because it doesn't have a quick kill or anything, and the way that her attacks can overlap with one another can be quite scary. She can also just parry in your face, and then it nullifies that attack that got hit by the parry's damage. So if you cast a Shade Soul in their face, not only are you not doing the 40 or 80 damage that you might have, but you can also get hit. So it's just feels bad, and there's not really any counterplay to that besides get lucky. Thankfully we didn't run into too many hassles there.
You really go for those Shade Soul doubles on this boss for sure.
Oh yeah.
Definitely one of the scarier fights for a lot of people casually, and then very hard to play fast.
Yeah, it's kind of a like bell curve of how hard the fight is versus how good you are, where like casually it's awful, it's so hard, and then you like get the hang of it and you're like, yeah, this isn't so bad, and then you start going for like sub 50-second fights and you're like, never mind, this is the worst thing in existence. We're now going to go and get our last upgraded spell, so killing Hornet and grabbing that pickup we did is essentially a key that allows us to access the Abyss, which is one of the late game like areas where we get some of the items required to beat the game. It's very bland, but it's very lore dense and all of that stuff, so if you're a lore enjoyer, you probably like the Abyss much more than I do. Ironically, the best part about the Abyss in gameplay wise is leaving it. Abyss Climb is a really fun like 30-second movement IL, and it's like the only real redeeming factor that the Abyss has.
We're speedrunners, we don't care about lore.
Exactly, lore isn't real. It's just excuses enemies come up with for us to not kill them.
Here's our fancy upgraded Shriek.
Yep, it's also like the longest pickup animation in the game at 15 seconds. So it's a great water break.
Stretch your fingers. That is the thing with Hollow Knight for a lot of these longer categories. There aren't really a whole lot of places to take a break. The stag animation or picking up spells, anything like that, you have a chance to take a drink of water, stretch your hands, just relax for a minute. But the timer still does go on the main screen, where a lot of games like Celeste, like it pauses. We don't get that luxury. You just gotta build up your stamina.
Yep, and I've committed a rookie mistake, and my water bottle has the lid on, so quickly taking a
Oh,
break
no.
during a transition or anything is very hard. I might rectify that later. But yeah, for that reason, among plenty of others, most beginners start with something like any percent or all skills, just because they're a bit shorter. And it's less daunting trying to learn anything, because by golly, there is a lot to learn. Learning this category to an okay level, after having ran any Sentinels skills quite extensively, still took me about 200 hours of like segment practicing and ILs before I started doing runs. Granted, that's an extreme. You can probably just pull up a route and do runs, but like, it gives you an idea of just how much there is to learn if you really want to, like, remember most stuff for such a long category. Alright, so we've now saved 21 of the grubs. We get paid for it in money and assorted goods. So I'm just gonna let this play and open my drink.
You'll notice that the night has that kind of odor, stinky charm on.
He's
That's
started
on
playing
for a
Super
purpose.
Smash Brothers. Alright, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thank you, RNG enemy.
That room is terrible.
It's awful.
In early game and in late game, it's just horrible.
What am I doing? Gonna call that a tactical decision of some kind. Alright, now we're going to kill the Brooding Morlock, who is a boss that is speedrunners. We tend to either fight way earlier than intended, like in Fort Marshards, or way later than intended, like in this category. So Brooding Morlock has 300 health. Abyss Shriek with Shaman Stone does 120. So it's over pretty quick.
And it drops a mash shard.
Yep. And we collected our first 4 Mars shards, each Mars shard being a quarter of a full Mars. So if you look up in the top left of the screen, you'll notice that we now have a maximum of 6 health. Oh god. I need another dream nail, but I also don't want to die. I do that, and then I still only need 1 more dream nail. That's another good old RNG. Cool. And so the reason we have the Stinky Charm equipped is Leg Eater here will give us a 20% discount because he's friends with Dung Defender, who gave us this charm. And so, it means that these 3 charms that we have to buy are each, discounted 20%, which is quite nice for geo-routing, as it's quite tight in this run.
And then we never touch it again.
Yep, and those dream nails I did were to top up on soul, because we're going to be fighting a boss now that we want all the soul we can get. And because we have a quick kill we're going to try and do. Emphasis on try. I'm not that good at it. It also involves intentionally getting hit a lot, and it's very easy to get hit too much if you're bad. I needed 6 hits there. Bugger. Alright, we're not going to kill this balloon. Or the next one, actually. Yeah, okay. This is not what we wanted. So, in that stagger, you needed to get enough for 2 casts, but because where the bat flies is random, plus, like, positioning in that, it can be quite easy to not get the quick kill, which happened here unfortunately, but we still were able to kill it in the 3rd balloon, which is still quite a bit faster than if you were to try and do the fight normally. Actually the 2nd balloon, because the first one's scripted.
So he gave us another charm notch.
Yep. And we're going to instantly put Dream Wielder back on. If I can find the correct spot.
Grim is just our friend. Air quotes, friend.
Why did I cancel my C-dash there? Also, 1XX is full of a lot of moments of, why did I do this, or why did I do that? Because you did a tiny piece of movement wrong, because the amount of things you have to remember is just unbelievable. This is Elder Who, the Pancake Man, who can just choose to teleport out of your streaks and take no damage. This fight can be over in about 3 seconds, or however long that was, so yeah. Great boss. Thankfully this category is long enough that all of that, kind of garbage RNG, it all kind of evens out throughout the course of a run. It's just, you complain every time you get it, and then every time you don't, you're like, thank you game. There's a first time for everything.
What's really cool is Elder Who gives essence, but it's not needed for this. You just have to kill Elder Who because he's a boss.
Yeah, he was in the way. No boss should be allowed to summon that many pancakes and teleport out of that many streets and live.
I agree. I prefer waffles over pancakes anyway.
True. Actually, I can't say that. My housemate made pancakes for breakfast this morning and it was really nice. So Dale, if you're listening, your pancakes are great, but I do prefer waffles otherwise.
Well, it's making me want to drive to Waffle House, and that's not good.
I don't even think there's one near me.
I think the closest one to me is like an hour and 15 minutes away. I couldn't do it.
It's also midnight here, so I don't think they're open.
Yeah, it's only like 20 to 3 a.m. It's all good.
Alright, one more boss that we normally are meant to fight way earlier than we do, the Mantis Lords. You might have an idea why we're meant to fight them sooner. Oh god. Oh god, I can't believe I missed that. There we go. That was the Mantis Lords. Oh, I
I
got
love that you didn't pogo him because he bows to you.
He's just being respectful.
Yeah, you don't need to bonk him on the head. Fun mechanic that saves time, hitting that chest through the floor.
I think it saves a lot less time when I go back to hit it through the floor, but it still saves time in my heart.
Yep, that's all that matters. We can cope however we want. Just blame everything on the Rim Child.
Alright, so now I'm going to fight the first of the tier 3 Grimkin. The difference between tier 1 and 2 is most notably just health. Whereas tier 3, all of their attacks do double damage now. And they still have more health. They take 3 ticks of Shade Soul to kill, so... Because I missed one, I really wanted a double hit there. Bugger. Alright, now one more. There we go.
In my casual playthrough, those tier 3 Grimkin really messed me up for quite a while.
Even when I started speedrunning, I think tier 3 Grimkin are, like, harder than half the bosses in the game. Especially if you don't have, like, upgraded spells. Or god forbid you're overcharmed, and they do 4 damage.
Yeah, that's just awful. Just don't run a category that deals with them.
I remember when Scruffy in 106 was the first person to do overcharmed fungal core, and everyone just collectively was like, no, please, I don't want to have to do this. Ow. Alright, we took a little damage there, but thankfully that doesn't matter because charm notches refill our health. But only when we pick them up in the world, not when we buy them. For some reason. I guess your knight, like, the charm notch doesn't refill your health, the, like, sense of accomplishment for going out and finding a charm notch yourself refills your health, and so if you buy it, then you don't get the same sense of accomplishment. Maybe EA made charm notches.
We've been mentioning all these teleporting bosses that are so terrible. This one doesn't teleport. It's just plain awful. We're jellyfishing now. This is Umu, who guards one of the Dreamers. Umu can be nice and give you fast attacks, or it can be very mean and give you long attacks and even extra attacks.
Yes,
just
this
to
might
ruin
be
your
an
day.
extra. Oh no, I think we're good. I think I'm bad, but I think we're not getting extras. Cool.
And that's where we love Abyss Shriek. It just melts Umu.
And then we do a little dash off the wall there to put us at the, like, perfect distance from the tank so that we can interact with Quirrell ASAP as close as possible, so then we can dream now this as soon as possible, which is just a tiny little optimization that saves, like, no time, but it's neat. A category that Umu sucks in is spellless 1 damage nail, where it's like a 36 cycle.
How do you know that is my question.
because I ran spellless 1 damage nail.
Why? That's horrible.
Wait, did I place a Dream Gate outside of...
Yes,
Oh, thank
you did.
God. I just golded that and I had a brief moment of like, did I forget something?
I got you.
Thank you. Oh, okay, so we actually just played well. I think I got the best possible RNG, which helps. And then the inventory drop right away. Maybe I need you to watch all of my runs, because I forget so much stuff and then have it like, oh god, did I remember such and such? And then I lose all the time I would have saved to going and checking.
Grabbing another mass shard.
Yeah, so spell-less 1 damage nail is a great category that everyone should run. It's about 2 hours and it has no flaws whatsoever. Great. There we go. The boulder kill, you have to do long nail boulder about 30 times.
Why would you put yourself through that?
Because I'd learned the long nail boulder and I was like, damn, I'm pretty good at this. Let's run maybe the worst category for it ever. It took like under 10 minutes to do the boulder kill, which I was pretty proud of. Oh god.
So this is a Queen's Garden area, filled with a lot of thorns and annoying enemies, but good music.
You use debug to give yourself a 1 damage nail, yeah. And then you just go and have fun.
I'm concerned what your definition of fun is now.
I thought it was a vibe.
But a vibe and fun are two different words.
I don't know, like I think it's the Umu was less fun, but the rest of the run was pretty cool. I think if I'd died to Umu, I would have thought it was a little less fun, or like towards the end of the 17-minute Watcher Night fight.
There we used a hazard respawn point. If you fell into those thorns, it would put you back to the top of the room. Save some time than going all the way back around.
I'm sorry, did you say 17-minute fight?
Yes, because
Oh
Watch
my.
Knights have 5 lots of 220 health, so with 1 damage nail you can see how that adds up. Especially because the cooldown between nail swings is 0.45 seconds, so yeah. I limited myself Pika to only having long nail for the boulder kill. You could use Fury, but I would say that that detracts from the joy of the challenge, and also then your nail's not actually doing 1 health. Sorry, 1 damage. Alright, we do a goofy little strat here. We use that tiny platform which then blocks the Petra's vision of us, so it lets us get that Dream Gate down without going through to the next room. Oh god. There we go. That there was an insta-wings. It's not required, but it actually makes hitting the Petras with fireballs slightly easier. They're also used all over the place for movement if you're better than me. Unfortunately, I'm not better than me because I'm exactly as good as me, so you will not see many insta-wings throughout the course of the run. But they're pretty cool. They happen when you do a jump during the first... That did open, right? Yeah. Cool. They happen when you do a jump during the... I'm gonna get through frogs before I try and explain that, because frogs are scary and very random.
I would explain insta-wings, but I just know it looks cool and it's hard to do in something buttons.
Actually, let me do that. Come over here, let me drink that. Thank you. Oh, extra thank you. Wonderful. What? Why do you turn me around? Oh god, okay.
Spooky.
Yeah. Thankfully, because dream gates persist between quit outs, and quitting out restores our health, since we're meant to go to a dream gate here, you could just quit out and then use dream gate, and it only loses like 5 seconds or something and gives you full health. So that's a comfy strat that you'll see me using a few points during the run. This is kind of the biggest one. This and the one before this one, where you go back to the dream gate earlier after the mimic grub. But yeah, it's just something that like is useful, and it just shows that like if you're a beginner learning this run, there are plenty of ways of making it more accessible. You don't have to jump in and do all of the hard stuff. And Hollow Knight is a lot of Hollow Knight runners' first speed game, so the safety strats and that kind of thing are actually all extremely well labbed out and quite well documented. So if you are someone potentially looking to pick this up as a speed game, it is, yeah, super learnable, super accessible, and there's full video and written guides for any Sentinel skills, which is mentioned are kind of the two most often recommended beginner categories.
This is my first speed game, and I attest to the fact that guides are helpful, the community is helpful. It's a really fun game to learn to speedrun.
Yeah, so I learned it before all the guides were made, and I just had to bug everyone, and even then they were more than willing to put up with my awful gameplay and inability to withhold new information. So yeah, very nice to everyone.
This is our second dreamer. 2 of 3. This is Hera. Something lore, Hornet.
Yeah. So, because we didn't really explain it, I don't think. The Dreamers, you need all 3 of them to beat the game, for lore reasons. So we just need to route them in at various points in the run. We've got our first 2 quite quickly, and then the third one we're not going to get for like another half an hour or so. I think it's about half an hour. Something notable about all the Dreamers is they are all hard saves. And so you'll see us walking out here. And Beast Den is also unique in that you can't Dream Gate out of it. If you try and Dream Gate, it'll fizzle. Just because the entrance to Beast Den, where you're meant to go here, is a trap bench, and you are meant to basically get kidnapped, and then you have to fight your way out, get Hera, and then you can leave, and they don't want you just... I equipped the wrong charm.
They don't want you cheating your way out, basically.
Exactly, yeah. it is also like, especially if you have arachnophobia, like the spooky section in the run. Which probably worth mentioning if you do have arachnophobia. Probably avert your eyes for the next 7 minutes. Just as we deal with the rest of Deep Nest. Also, a question for our wonderful host. Where are we at with regards to the Path of Pain incentive? Did that end up getting met?
Let's check that out. I believe it did, but let me just confirm. Path of Healing.
Oh god. What am I doing? I thought you'd be dead.
Yes, the Path of Pain incentive did get met.
Alright, cool. I don't even need to force people to donate towards that. Instead, I can force people to donate towards our other active incentives. Of course,
Yeah,
nobody has to, but, you know, it's a very nice way to support the people that have helped put this together. F1, this is my 2nd year running at the marathon, and I've always had a nice time, and it's for a good cause.
Just to remind everyone, so some of our targets include the Dragon Quest run, where we will rescue the princess. That is currently just been opened, and we need $200 to meet that. And then for Legend of Mana Remastered, we are going to save Dana if we meet it at $150. We are currently sitting at 68 BB4, so couple incentives to help out for future runs. We have a few polls running for my time at Portia names and Legend of Mana name, and we got a Valkyria Chronicles language choice, and we're also not that far from $4,000. So you want to see us get there? That would greatly help take this. And yeah.
Great. Sounds good. Maybe we can aim for 4,000 by the end of this run then. Ah! Hitting levers is really hard.
I agree.
And this is the tram pass, which is required to ride the trams. And the trams gate a couple of areas, most notably the Hive, plus provide faster travel between a couple of others. So just grabbing that now before we go to a couple of the tram stops and grab the things they lot.
It's a fun little arena.
I think I whiffed a tree. Yeah, it's... yeah, fun, annoying. It's fine when you have everything memorized and don't mess anything up. Unfortunately, I have most stuff memorized and didn't mess much up, so it's a little bit annoying.
We have to do that arena to save Zote.
Yep, so that is the second of 3 little prerequisite interactions with Zote in order to fight him in the Eternal Ordeal. Sorry, not the Eternal Ordeal. The Grey Prince Zote fight at the end of run, which is required for satisfying the all bosses criteria of 107. Thankfully, we kind of walk past or do everything that saving Zote required. Why did I just do that? I was meant to get a dream nail on that fella. It Pick a direction, buddy. Thank you. Alright, so we're now going into Nosk with slightly less health. This fight will go either one of two ways. It can either be over in about 5 seconds, or it can be awful and he can decide to pitch a tent in the ceiling and there's nothing we can do about it. In which case, we actually have to fight him. So hopefully it's over quickly and we don't have to fight him. Otherwise, that couple of hits I took start to look a little problematic.
See if he's nice.
That's not what we want.
Nope. Nope. Ideally, you just want Nosk to run straight at you, charge at you.
So that wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst. We have a pretty cool movement section coming up if I can do everything correctly. If not, we have a so-so movement section. A lot of intentional damage tanks, and yeah, this took me
It's very
a long
technical.
time.
Nailed it. Beautiful.
So both those damage tanks are intentional, just to get through cycles cleaner, or skip cycles entirely. Oh god, this isn't gonna work. So I have to wait for this guy.
This bit of movement is
Oh no, I can't.
really fun, but hard to do fast.
Yes, that was pretty bad. 1 out of 3 on the good strats, but it doesn't lose that much time, it's just fun to do it correctly. And I would have liked to have shown off for a marathon, but we can't hit everything. We'll now be making our way through the through the first of the tram trips that we'll take using that tram pass.
And this will look somewhat familiar, just on the opposite side. Back to ancient basics. There's a hidden grub and then a pale ore, which is used to upgrade your nail. Hidden down here.
Yep, and we keep our movement charms on just because the combat here is quite basic, and so we save more from having slightly faster movement than we do from having slightly higher damage. But we then switch those now before we head into the hive, which is quite a late game area. And it also, the enemies in the hive received quite a big buff in the lifeblood patch. And an additional boss was added, which is where the 1% difference between 106 on the 1.2 patches and 107 on the 1.3 patches came in. The difference between 1.2 and 1.3 is quite big. Is that's when the game got quite a big modernization, and so it's optimized to run a lot better, among other things. But also a lot of things were buffed or nerfed or tweaked, and so 1.2 patches are the primary NMG patch, and then current patches then run on a later patch. Cool bit of movement there.
Hive is a very scary place in these next few rooms. There are enemies, we call them Big B, like this guy. It's just a very large bee. They do double damage. Double damage plus all of the other little bees flying around. Kind of spooky.
And then there's a double damage Grimkin here for good measure.
Even better.
And the fire pillars can be quite hard to avoid in such a tiny little corridor. Oh god, what? That missed. So the backup there is very sketch, and half the time the backup is just die, so it's nice not doing that. Just cyclone him for some soul, as it can be beneficial sometimes to shriek a... So now we have to intentionally bait the Big B here.
We need Big B to break that wall to get that mass shard.
And then we have the Mars shards routed in a very particular way so that we get a health refill here, just because this area is always extremely sketchy. And so this gives us a nice little top up before we have to fight Hive Knight, which is the area's boss. And then do a cyclone on the first wall here, so that Shade Soul then breaks these last two walls, otherwise it's just outside of its range. Why'd I cyclone? These are up slashes.
We do love our spells in late game. They're just so strong.
Yeah, and the cool thing I didn't mention earlier about Abyss Shriek is what direction it pushes or pulls enemy. Well, whether it pushes or pulls enemies horizontally is based on what direction you're facing. So right shrieks will suck enemies in, whereas left shrieks will push enemies. So on a lot of aerial bosses, you'll see me doing right shrieks, as that keeps them inside the shriek hitbox. They get hit all 4 times. Whereas then on a lot of the grounded bosses, like Hive Knight there, you'll see me doing left shrieks to push them up against a wall, because otherwise if I do a right shriek, it's just going to suck the boss into me, and then hit me out of the shriek before all the hits can go off, plus, you know, you take damage. So it's just another like neat little bit of depth that the game has mechanically. Also, all of this movement's wrong.
On the very long list of small optimizations for boss fights.
Yeah, this game is ridiculously mechanically complex, and half of it feels quite unintentional. Just saving another grub here. And then we'll be going back into Kingdom's Edge to just do a little bit of cleanup.
This is a very movement-heavy section of the run here. A lot of vertical movement.
Yep, that one's a very fun room to IL. That wasn't a bad one. Then we dash into a very particular spot on the wall there to get a ceiling boost. That enemy there is called the Primal Aspid. They're not too bad here in the overworld, but when we get to the colos, you're going to see a lot of those, and they are quite annoying and quite scary.
This is one of the movement locked areas where you have to have the shade dash that we got from inside Abyss to get to. Otherwise, the black wall will not let you in. You'll just bounce right off of it.
Yep, and we'll see that. Yeah, so this here is a shade gate, and so you need a shade dash to get through it.
This game really does encourage you to wander around and get lost. There's still so many things to do in this game.
Yeah, as much as this is a completion run, that's more like there's so much that we don't even touch on. So many hidden rooms, so many little bits of lore, so many like hidden geo-rocks and things that just doesn't count towards percentage, and so we don't see them in this run. But yeah, casually it just creates such a big interconnected feeling world. And just putting on our charms now for a boss we'll be fighting in a couple of minutes. More like a minute. But grabbing one more charm before we do.
This sequence of rooms is quite annoying and can eat away your health pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
These little hoppers is what they're called. And then a great hopper here. Plus
I was
spikes.
very lucky to get past there unscathed. I mean, skilled. Ow. What? Ah, God, I don't like this now. So taking damage here isn't too bad if we hit Collector Scream Skip. If we don't hit Collector Scream Skip, this is awful. Because fighting Collector with flukes, as much as I was like, they're great for damage and that, they don't stagger things. They don't increase a boss's stagger count. So if we do have to fight Collector properly, we struggle to stagger him, and so then we kind of just get jumped on and die a lot. So ideally we can avoid that, but this is quite a tricky Scream Skip. It's taken me quite a long time to get remotely consistent at, and that's not in a marathon run.
All of this is 100% scripted to get him to die this fast. It's all done in a specific
Nice.
order like that. Really clean.
And then we freed that fly from the jar to get it to appear on the other side of that gate when we're done, just so during the Collector's like 15-second long death animation, we're able to top up on soul for free. That's really hard. I'm quite glad that went well, as the cost of it not going well is quite often death. And I'll just do one heal here to be on an odd amount of health. And we can free that grub through the wall. Most instances of being able to hit grubs through walls are patched out in this patch, but that one in particular you can still get through the wall with a dash slash. placing a dream gate here, because we're about to go free our get our third dreamer, and we want a dream gate to come back to because, as mentioned, it is a hard save and it's quite isolated. Killing that guy through the floor with Abyss Shriek.
It's nice to not fight that big guy because he does double damage. Also.
Yeah, in any percent on current patch, that guy is quite scary. It's quite a hard fight, and the health that you have for him is often the health you have into Watcher Knights if you're not safety benching. And so any extra damage there can just spell disaster for you. I did one extra cast there to what I wanted to. But again, this section kind of just showing off the power of upgraded Abyss Shriek and Flukes, and able to 1 or 2 shot most things that would normally be quite formidable enemies. You're not meant to get the Chandelier, but just because I'm slightly low on health plus Marathon Run, I'd like to take that one little safety. So yeah, these are a hard boss. It doesn't feel it when you have Flukes. So this is over quite quickly, and if you've played this fight casually, you would know just what a roadblock it is. This is by far the hardest fight for learning any percent, as you do this quite under equipped, and yet I would consider that a terrible fight, and it was still over very quickly with very little threat to my health.
That's the fight you were talking about that was 17 minutes long, right?
Yeah, yep. So with 1 damage nail, that fight's 17 minutes. And so this is our third dreamer, and from all of that climbing up that elevator and that, you can see why we don't particularly want to have to backtrack all of here.
We're gonna start heading into the difficult portions of this run. A lot of combat heavy.
Yeah, this is... We've got like a minute and a half more leeway, or more breathing space, and then after that we start getting into like real late game, doing all of the like combat trials and that we had been. Can you? Thank you. God. I really don't care about health here, thankfully, because when we enter dreams, it refills our health. But I do need soul because we're about to fight quite a strong boss, and we want as much health as possible. Sorry, as much soul as possible, so that we can kill it as fast as possible.
We're selling relics to actually start getting nail upgrades.
Yeah, so part of the reason we delayed these nail upgrades for so long is because Dream Warrior's health scales with your nail level. And so the reason we've been able to delete them with like 3 spells has been because we haven't upgraded our nail at all. And the game kind of uses your nail level as a way of tracking like how good a gear a player has and how far in the game they are. And since Dream Warriors are kind of scattered everywhere, they're designed in a way where like you can fight them at any point in the game and have a reasonable challenge. So by getting really strong spells but not upgrading our nail, the game gives us like early game player level enemy bosses, but we've got late game damage, and so Rabbit killed them in a few hits. It's only really Dream Warriors that scale that dramatically, but there are a couple of other bosses that'll have slight scaling to them. But yeah, that just means that we put off our nail upgrades until we're ready to do all of the late game hard stuff that doesn't scale with our nail level, because they're meant to be late game challenges, and so it doesn't care if you're under equipped. That's between you and your own poor decision making. Right, this is the White Defender, which is the upgraded version of Dong Defender. I'm going to let you do most of the talking, Shelby, as it's quite hard and I want to focus.
Yep. So ideally, we want him to just throw his poop balls instead of going underground like that. Quite rude. We want the flukes to multi-hit. This fight can either go really well or just be one cry. That's the attack we want. So much damage on him like that. If you time it correctly, you can scream skip, which saves a ton of time. You can just see he's really fast. You can take a lot of damage quickly.
If I'm not careful. No.
Yep. And unfortunately, we missed the scream skip.
Yeah, I was so close.
He dies pretty fast even without the scream skips, just because flukes are so powerful.
You know what I've just realized? Yeah, I didn't get all the nail upgrades.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention! Oh no!
Alright, so normally we'd now leave. I'm going to go get some nail upgrades. Again, this movement might look familiar for some reason.
We're just spreading out the content. More Apollo Nest for you to see.
That would explain why he didn't scream after the second eruption. Sorry, after the second throw attack as well. Yeah, that was not my brightest moment. I'm very glad I had Live Split running, because if I'd gotten to Colo and realized that, the backtrack would have been way worse.
We just want another trip to our friend.
For some reason, I think I might gold White Defender. Or it'll completely break the split. We'll see. We'll see. I think because I split on Essence. Okay, it worked. It just gave me a gold.
Now we move on.
Look, if that's the worst routing mistake I have this run, I'll take it. Because that only cost me like 45 seconds, including the fight time loss. So, like, that's not bad. Because fight in PD was also good, so it's a bit of a false comparison.
Time saving reroute.
Right, and so we're overcharming to put on our Colosseum charms. We'll be doing the first Colosseum overcharmed, but then the reward for the first colo is a charm notch, and that will put us back out of the overcharmed state. In 112
really
and 106, most players will do Colosseum overcharmed, but 107 we've found a route that's the same speed, but you aren't overcharmed, and so it's lovely, because not taking double damage is nice, even if the extra soul gain from Soul Eater is also nice.
Nice to not take double damage with multiple enemy waves. So.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we all do it. Sometimes we forget what wave is coming.
I did that in warm-up for this very run.
That was a mini-ma, so that is good luck from the little fool for Colo 1.
Oh, true, yeah. I'm glad I wasn't in charge of paying attention.
No, I got you. I got you. It's just a silly little line he says that I like to count as good luck.
What wave's next? 2 of them, that's right. Bad sign, I'm on wave... What? How are you alive? It's a bad sign if I'm on wave 2 going, what's next? Ding chong.
These colos require quite a bit more focus. So
What?
I think you can definitely see why this is a late game area.
Yeah, especially if you don't have the damage to 1 or 2 shot a lot of these enemies. It starts getting really bad really quickly. Thankfully, we do have the damage to 1 or 2 shot these enemies, and that can remain a abstract theory.
We love Shade Soul hitting all of these enemies at once.
Oh yeah, like spells and nail arts make this so much easier. If you're someone doing this casually, equip Nailmaster's Glory, equip Shaman, like it just makes your life so much easier being able to one-shot like Primal Aspids and the Armored Squibs and stuff.
And the last
then this-
so quest.
I wasn't counting, I think that might have been 9. Whoops. Right, so this Colosseum's very much a warm-up for the next 2, because we also don't get a refill of health at the end of this next Colosseum. So that's our health going into Colo 3, which is really scary.
That was also a minima.
Alright, well it's on me if I
Bless.
mess up then.
Colo
Yeah.
2 is the worst Colo.
The first enemy that spawns here, these big guys, are introduced, and they are genuinely like the hardest enemy you'll fight in a Colo.
They're very tanky.
That was so wrong. So is that? Look at me go. And these big flying guys as well are also quite a pain because they don't die to 1 Shade Soul, which is kind of our flying enemy deleter skill. I think there's one more guy. No. Cool. And that's specific Great Slash, Nail Swing, Shade Soul combo is our best way of dealing with those guys, because they also don't die to 2 Shade Souls, which is another really important health breakpoint, especially for ground-based enemies. Great Hopper. Heal one here because it's a nice opportunity. Nice. And so you can see how knowing like what health thresholds they're playing around are really important here. And now we have the obel. No, not yet. Oops. Soon we'll have the obels, which are just crap enemies.
Definitely the worst part.
Just trying to regen a little health here because as mentioned, this is our health for Colo 3 too. I did not mean to do that. It worked.
This is where you find that most people really do learn how to use nail arts.
Now it's obels? Yeah.
Yeah. These dudes are so tanky, quite annoying, and just really want to ruin your day. And there's multiple waves of them. And they can just eat away your health so fast.
It's just very easy to take little hits to them as well. And then we want as much soul as we can have here, because fighting the oblobbles, you base. Oh, great. Oh,
Shade
God.
Soul for...
God.
Oh my god.
Okay, we might be benching.
You could just quit out.
Oh, yeah. I always forget
Yeah.
you can do that.
Yeah, just
See,
grab
one
all
of
it
us
and
is
quit out.
clever.
One of us screws this up too much.
Oh, I do too. I just walk back in shame.
It's a hard save. This bench is a hard save.
Yeah, I knew it was a hard save. I just never thought, hey, maybe I shouldn't have to do a like 10-second walk back every time. Oh, that's so smart. Ooh, that wasn't a good luck. It's so over.
That was a mini mod. It's fine.
Alright, we're winning. Look, I think the good luck is what saved me with the ob levels there, so I am taking that straight to the bank.
We love the mini mod blessed. This Colo is incredibly difficult, very fast, a lot of enemies.
It's also not that bad until you mess up, and then it's the worst thing in existence. And I mess up a lot at this.
It also likes to introduce bosses kind of from all areas. So in this Colo, you'll see stuff from Queen's Gardens, like Petra's. You'll see some of the Soul Twisters, and also an enemy we've not seen before. That is like a Sanctum version of Umu. Just actually awful. Horrible enemy. And then these bastards. These are frogs. They do whatever they want to do, which is hit you and not be in the way of your damage. And there's a section in... See, they just go everywhere. There's a section later that's quite scary, that's just frogs flying everywhere. So the great thing about 107 is, like May said, they're not overcharmed.
Oh god, I hit the weird section on the wall. Alright. Barely made it past those Garpedes without getting hit. Alright, cool. Now, what's now? Oh yeah. I want to be on the left side here, sorry, the right side, but that was fine. I wasn't punished that badly for it.
This Colo just has so many ground enemies at the same time as flying enemies.
Yeah, and so you end up delaying killing them just to try and hit them both with one attack, and it's just annoying. Honestly, this whole Colo just has a lot of things that require a lot of attention, and if you let enemies live for too long, they start being in spots that you don't have a way of dealing with, so it's imperative that you're killing everything like ASAP.
That was definitely one of the harder things to grasp when learning how to speedrun this game. Healing is not always better. You think, oh, I would rather have the mask. No, a lot of cases it's better to just have the damage.
For example, I should have healed there. But yeah, like a lot of the time spells can be used to kill whatever the thing that's been hitting you is without getting hit at all, and so you end up doing it A, faster, but B, you end up on more health anyway. It's just a weird, like, balancing act you have to strike.
That was sick.
That is not a backup or anything, that is just me winging it because I healed at the wrong time.
But it was sick anyway.
Yeah, it was actually cool. If it's consistent in any way, I kind of think I'll add that to the toolbox, because an extra little heal if you're on low health before more life is kind of nice.
This is the one great part about this Colo. Their spiny legs on the side don't have a hitbox, so you can just stand there and heal and droop nail. Because the floorless section
why did I just
is
heal?
next.
I'm on full health.
You were full health!
Don't question my decision. Oh god. Oh god. That wasn't even the game being mean, that was just me being bad, as was that.
Again,
I've never
being
faced
awful.
any real difficulty in the floorless section here. And yet, here I am. This is a oh god, I thought you were dead. Oh god, that was the wrong nail art. Okay.
This was that section I was mentioning that's really kind of scary. Can you see why?
Very nice frogs. Thought you'd get doubled actually, buddy. Oh, what are you doing? I shouldn't have casted that again.
You?
Nah, yeah. You're like the angel on my shoulder encouraging me to make good decisions.
I mean, it's only God's hammer, but like... Okay, we're fine. We're fine. GG Carlos. That was terrifying.
A little. Yes,
Alright.
a lot.
We love Carlos.
Oh, I didn't put that in the right spot either. Yeah. That's a knock-on effect from the reroute error. Reroute error meaning I messed up and rerouted it on the fly, but not very costly.
Love a good sea dash across city.
Nyom. Nyom. And then... I always take off... No wait, it's Twister, not Dreamwheeler. There we go. I was gonna say I always take off Wheeler here, but that was actually the correct decision, so good job me. The problem was I always take off Twister there. Alright, just doing a little bit more cleanup here, because this is like the last time we just want to walk past here. And now we gotta fight Grey Prince Zote, which is the guy that we were freeing all over the place, because the idea is that he's actually like a complete pushover, but we're fighting him in Bretta's dream, so this is her like idealized version of him basically. And that's actually really strong, if still a bit goofy. But
flukes are silly.
yeah, flukes are... Honestly, I think if any boss deserved to be killed with flukes, it's probably GPZ, because his whole thing is just being, like, goofy, and I think flukes fit into that niche so well.
I agree. I recently had a friend who was struggling with this boss, just a casual player. And I said, you should just try Shaman Stone and Flukes. And I said, just shoot Flukes and win. That's all it took. Just shoot Flukes and win.
Yeah, like, I am not good at most boss fights, especially late game stuff, but flukes just trivialize that fight so hard.
Sometimes he'll just, fall into him or walk into him. It's just good.
Right, and now we get to talk to our friend Nasir again. And she gives us the Awoken Dream Nail, which lets us get into some dreams that were guarded, basically. So basically it lets us get into a super late game area. And then we ascend this year. So by giving her 2,400 essence, she ascends and basically disappears. And the reason we do that is because there is 1% awarded for that. And so that's basically the thing that dictates how many of the Dream Warrior essence pickups we can skip. So we skip 0 and Elder Hu, because that lets us still have the 2,400 we need. We actually get 2,450 because, as I mentioned, each Dream Gate consumes 1 essence. So that just covers the cost of all of our Dream Gates without having to, like, collect essence from a dream tree or something, which is a thing that we would otherwise be doing. What are you doing, buddy? Thank you.
I've never realized how awkward that is if you don't have soul for that.
Yeah, so I am a maker of poor life choices, so I did not have soul.
So this is Flower Quest. This is a very punishing portion of any 1XX category that has to deal with this. You have to take this stupid flower all the way to Queen's Garden without getting hit, or the flower breaks. So we're gonna let May focus through this, because there's a lot of very intricate movement, and we don't want to get hit.
No, this is, even for non-marathon runs, terrifying. Doing a flower quest on pace is... oh god.
Your hands sweat.
Yeah, like, you just need to live flower, because if you get hit, it's over. Because you'll lose like 2 minutes or something. No.
Especially because you go through Crossroads and it's infected. All of Fog Canyon with the jellyfish.
Yep, so we're just buying out all of our charms here and 1 charm notch. So charms are 1% each, but charm notches aren't 1%. So we get that notch to take us up to 9, just because that gives us a lot of access to a lot of charm combinations we want. And it also removes our overcharm status, but the extra 2 notches aren't worth the expense. Alright, this next room is probably the most terrifying.
She's sick. Oh.
Oh god.
My heart. Again, just very complex movement through all of this. Some of these rooms are, all of them are so scripted though. It's very precise movement. It's fast and will get you through.
So normally we'd C-dash through there, but there's something in this game called C-dash glitch, which can randomly hit you out of C-dash even on enemies that would normally die to 1 tick of C-dash. And we want to avoid that in Flower Quest because us getting hit would be just losing flower. Alright. 2, 3 rooms left. I did a wings to stall out that, and then I dashed instantly, which cancelled the wings. So that is about the only bit of randomness that you have to react to during Flower Quest. And we messed it up. Ah, that is painful.
Flower is brutal.
Upside, we already have the Go Marsha, so we don't need to do that section of movement again, because that's one of the more stressful and mechanically demanding ones. This one just requires reacting and not being bad, but that can be quite difficult, especially under stress. dash there. Glad I realized that in time. Also, I think I accidentally insta-wings, so I need to be careful because I'm going to have a floaty jump here if that's the case. Yep. Alright, get rid of that. Oh yeah, I didn't need that.
It's so autopilot to just go do everything.
Yeah, I really don't mind because the day where I accidentally forget one of them is the day my heart breaks when I get to Grubfather and don't get Elegy. So I'd rather do it too much than not enough. Okay, take two. Wait, the second one tried to get me as well. Okay.
GG Flower.
Okay.
Spooky! How many times I have gotten to that very last room in here and dunked.
Yeah, it's happened to me once or twice, but that's a lot proportionate to the amount of runs I've done. Can you? No.
This room is
This
horrible.
room. Thank you. What? I didn't insta. Why did I get one? Okay. I think my keyboard might be kind of dying. And just like randomly dropping an input for a frame. Because I've gotten 3 random like insta wings in the last like 2 minutes. I'm gonna heal. My reasoning being we're about to fight Trader Lord, who is an enemy who does double damage with everything but contact and some attacks that you don't really see if you're fighting him fast anyway.
In fact, you can shriek him through the ceiling.
Because if you mess that up, you also don't have a hard save, so you have to do Flower Quest for a 3rd time, just that time you don't care about getting hit. And then we save the grub through a wall there, because they just really didn't expect you to be, have not saved that grub by the time you're doing this, because this is getting to like real endgame stuff. Okay. Now we save quit, and we collect our reward for doing Flower Quest.
So you'll just do Path of Pain before Balcony?
Yeah, yep.
Cool.
Yeah. I won't be adding like the Path of Pain loadout charms, so you'll probably see me dunking at least 3 times due to not having like the massive nail length that I'm used to, but it'll be fine. Wait, yeah, you don't change charms here at all. That's bait. Wait, this is wrong. Hang on. Let me go back to my Dream Gate. I got ahead of myself. We go here. I forgot to set Dream Gate outside Stag Door, but I can just do it here. There we go, it's all coming back. RNG C dash.
It's all the very awkward, like, cleanup parts in this section.
Alright, we did get all the grubs. Cool.
That's our reward for all 46 grubs.
Yep. And then... There we hit the stag bell, that's what I was getting confused with. And then I'm going to lose a tiny bit of time here because I won't be able to do a C dash because this elevator's going to be up because some idiot had to go to Nailsmith twice already. Don't know who that would be.
Velmi Artrit. Velmi Artrit.
It's making our final
Help.
trip to Lem. Sell all of our stuff.
Velmi Artrit.
Absolutely rich on
Nora's son?
currency right now, but we're gonna spend it all. It's almost time for shopping.
A little bit. We do the bulk of the shopping right before NKG in 107. Because like we have to go to Dirtmouth right at the end anyway. Go to Black Egg.
Ah, Ranjo Stenja.
Oh,
Jonsha.
my brain is mush. So many categories.
Yeah.
Garadel Akari.
Yeah, it doesn't help when I was 7 and 112 are so similar until you get to like the very end. Alright, we're now coming up to the movement section of the run, and because we met the donation incentive, we will also be doing Path of Pain, which is the movement section inside the movement section.
The hidden movement section that is pain.
The hidden movement section that Team Cherry decided not to link an achievement to because they thought it would be too hard. Don't ask me how that same Team Cherry made P5 and thought that was fine, but Path of Pain wasn't, but...
Hunter's Journal. That's the worst. That's the hardest. The patience level for that.
Yo, it didn't get RNG wings molded. Insane. one too many nail swings before the shrug.
Love the mini hops there.
It's so funny. This is the hardest room in White Palace. Oh, I thought I had the funny line up where you can get past fine.
Beautiful.
Nice.
That is so incredibly hard to do.
I shudder to think how long I've spent in that room just practicing stuff. Alright, now you're gonna see a trick that's only done here in this run, basically. I said, now you're gonna see a trick that's only done... Now you're gonna see a trick that's only done... Now you're gonna see a trick that's only done here in this run, which is a Shrogo, where you can gain an extra pogo worth of height if you have Wings and Abyss Shriek. It's very precise, it's something like a 4-frame window. And now we're going to do Path of Pain because the donation is met.
You could do the Shrogo in the second room? Or the end of the first room, I guess?
Probably not. It's quite hard, and I'm not that good at Shrogo, as evidenced by me missing it 4 times.
Oh yeah, this one right here. Such a silly trick.
I will try the Thorn Skip Shrogo though.
Ooh, love that one. Not been able to pull it off myself. Rude.
No.
So she's making this look insanely easy.
No.
It's hard.
No. Oh my god. I'm gonna just refresh the room, get the cycles right. That nerfed nail range is making this so weird.
Oh, at that.
Because you normally have Marker Pride and Long Nail for this.
I don't remember the last time I went through here without the actual turn build. You're right. That would be very awkward.
I'm gonna heal a couple here. Yeah, I think that's a good decision. Hopefully we don't die to King's Moons. Yeah, King's Moons. Oops. Cool. That's Path of Pain. That went better than it ever did in practice, I'll tell you that.
That was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Without the speedrun charms, yeah. That was insane.
and now we do the rest of White Palace, and it's a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah,
I'm just going to
absolutely.
take a health refill in case the worst happens.
Are you gonna go for the funny Shrogo at the end of this?
Nope. I am going to go
You don't
for...
even go...
No! I was going to go for the funny cycle here. We'll try again. Ow.
I hate this room. I hate White Palace. Nice.
I hated this room too, which is why I learnt the fast strat, because I was sick of like misjudging when a saw blade was coming and just dying for it. That's low, yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, if that was high, I'd like to have some strong words with the game. Cool. That is very far away to be doing that, silly. Thank you,
I hate
game.
that wall jump.
I'm definitely getting weird, like, double jump inputs. Do I have enough for a cast? Yes. For you,
Sick.
Shelby.
Ah, thank you so much. Just for me.
So that strat saves half a second over just going around. It is purely a swag strat.
I love me a good swag strat. Okay, look, I lose enough time everywhere else in White Palace that I will go for that and not care. Because it looks cool, it'll make up for the rest of it.
Yeah, that was a 340 time loss to gold. So that Path of Pain must have been sick, actually. Damn, okay.
It was sick.
Unfortunately, you can't do turnarounds on this animation, you just have to wait. I tend to do turnarounds anyway because it's late in the run and I'm antsy, especially if I'm on pace. I'm being very careful on this drop here because A, I don't remember where to go, and B, if you get hit at all, the door won't open because you don't have enough to make... Oh, I didn't think I hit that trigger. To make the door open, and so you just suffer. But you can get up from here, right? Yeah. So the reason we dropped down there is to open the birthplace early instead of waiting for it to open when we're meant to go there in a second. So it just saves a little bit of time, probably even with that execution. just makes the split a little bit stressful, because if you mess it up at all and you don't have enough health to open the door, you lose about 45 seconds to having to save quit and come back. Now we get to see Diet Abyss climb. Hopefully I can do it with Diet half decent execution. Oh god, me.
This area sucks.
Yeah, it's great in rando when you don't have dash and or you have like shade cloak, but you don't have any damage, and so they take like 8 nail swings to kill. And you have like 5 health because it's rando and god forbid you got health pickups. Hopefully we can get a nice climb. This is very similar to the Abyss climb I mentioned earlier, which is an amazing movement section. That's okay.
Imagine knowing where to go. Very nice.
I just went to have a drink and my poster stuck to the can. Alright. We're about to fight the boss I see in my nightmares. Canonically and as a speedrunner. But first, we have some shopping to do. Also a fun little detail. He like flaps his wings when he stands up. There's so much just attention to those little things in this game, and that's part of what puts it a tier above in terms of Metroidvanias for me. Now it's the bit where I go, God, I hope I have enough money. $117 over. Money bags.
Buy the egg for fun.
How much is the egg? 80? 60. Now I can offer Grim a nice egg in this trying time. Well, I wouldn't say nice, it's rancid, but it's nice to me and that's what matters. Okay. Will I do well? Will I remember Balloon Skirt?
Yes.
Ugh. Look, I do CC's like Insta setup, but I haven't actually labbed it enough to know if I've gotten it or not, so it works on blind faith, which isn't the best way to lab these things. I shouldn't have done that, because now my fam song. I'm just gonna do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, nice, I hit the sweet spot. Right, you should die to these shrieks. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
So it was one cycle late, but that's the balloon skip. Oh, C-dash the wrong way, whoops.
Cute.
Oh, that's technically a major glitch, but it's fine.
What the hell was that?
So if you're really slow and the animation gets to finish of you like standing up and that you're normally cancelling with the C dash, it sends a give control. So it gives you control during your C dash, which is just, breaks a lot of things. It's the same as why like the Isma's pickup room, if you're not careful, you can accidentally glitch as well or go underwater. Right, now we have the final 2 bosses.
Oh, quick slash here seems so weird.
I forget about it a lot of the time, and then I'll go to like Cyclone the Chains, which is just straight up worse with quick slash.
So he's just gonna die fast.
Oh god. Thankfully, my skill issues don't really matter here because he dies very quickly, and then we get a health refill before the Radiance. Unfortunately, these nail swings are all doing 1 damage. During self-stabs, all incoming damage is reduced to 1.
That was sick. I've never seen him green skip that way.
Yeah, it's only really done in all skills because they're the only ones that have Shade Cloak but don't kill Radiance. Because there it was useless, but it looked cool.
Good luck, final boss.
Thank you. We shouldn't die here. Famous last words.
Well, that was nice of her.
Yeah, 1 teleport is very nice. You can get 0 teleport, but normally she just decides to teleport everywhere but where you are.
GG 107.
Yeah. Might be 106, but no, it should be 107.
Imagine forgetting his percent. I could never.
So some obligatory thank yous. First of all, obviously to Shelby for joining me on this near 3-hour experience at God knows what time in the morning for her.
1:30 a.m.
Yeah. thank you to Shelby for that. Thank you, obviously, to the Hollow Knight community. Thank you to CC and Rekka for helping me learn it. And thank you to the Speedrun Valkyrie staff for allowing me to partake in their wonderful marathon. Thank you to everyone for watching. And yeah, I think that's kind of the main things from me. That was a 2:54:40 in-game time, which is not too bad. Sub 3 was kind of the goal. So 2:54 with a Path of Pain in there, that would be a 2.4x, which is pretty good. Yeah, I'll take that.
Excellent. GG's.
Yeah, GG's. That was. I was just mesmerized the entire run. Like, I cannot. Like, I know I've said it many times, but seriously, well done. Like, this was very entertaining to watch. Where can we find you? Just on Twitch? Anywhere else?
Yeah, Twitch, Twitter less so, and it's less of a, like, you know,
Yeah.
I want to say professional context, but it's not professional, but you know what I mean. But yeah, Twitch is probably the main one. There are links in my Twitch account as well to like the Discord and that where I hang out. But yeah, Twitch is the main thing, and I'm currently running this category a lot, trying to get a 2-3x. So if you like this category or this any of this TM basically, yeah, that's probably the place to go. Shelby, do you want to plug yourself as well?
Sure. I run 112. I am my secret skill in the chat. Me right there. Thank you for having me as your comms, May. This was a really fun time.
Yeah, no, it was great. Thank you for keeping me slightly more sane over the duration of the run as well, and taking over during the stressful segments, which really helped. And for people looking to run the game as well, join the Hollow Knight Speedrunning Discord. It's linked on the speedrun.com page, and it's full of people willing to answer questions, help with things like setting up, learning the run, answer stuff like what category should I run, all of that. I'm also fairly active there, so I'm more than willing to help. But yeah, I think that's all from our side of things. If you had anything to say, our wonderful host.
Yeah, just thank you everyone for watching. Today was a wonderful day of runs, and we are gonna be picking it back up pretty soon, about 5 hours from now actually. But I believe, I'm not sure if we're going to be sending you all off to a raid, but just remember, we'll be having runs tomorrow and also on Saturday, so plenty of speedrun content to come. And yeah, that's all for me. I'm Amart. I will also be on hosting duties tomorrow, so we will see you then. And yeah, thank you for everything.
Thank you all.